Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fin Factor Live. This is the pre-shoot for Season 2, Episode number 1. We're really excited to kick off the new season. So,
Yeah.
we are here.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Five
Been a
people
while.
waiting?
So far,
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I guess we know who the real fans are. No, I'm just kidding. We love all you guys, of course. But hey, if any of you 5 or plus happen to have any questions for us or comments, please go ahead, put those into the comment section down below or in the chat, I guess is what it is when it's live. And I guess Aaron will see it, or maybe Super Producer Jason will
Sure.
see it.
He'll put 'em up
Somebody
on
will
the
see
screen.
it, hopefully. We'll see. So, yeah, we're back.
Yeah. Our set's still not quite ready for season 2.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
a work in progress, but we changed it around a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit.
See. We'll upgrade it a little bit more later.
Yeah, I want to I want to call attention to one bobble in particular, and I don't know, Super Producer Jason, if you're able to do this on the fly, to do a little zoom in here at the center. There you go. So
Is he gonna
this
fall off
is-
the edge?
This is Joe Pavelski. I think we all need to say goodbye to the bobblehead of Joe Pavelski. Goodbye.
Maybe we'll have Joe color him in green,
What's that?
in victory green.
Color him victory green. Yeah, there you go. So, Jumbo gone. However, we're going to slide this guy right in the middle here. We got a feeling he's going to be the next captain of the San Jose Sharks. And maybe that's a talking point for tonight's show or something. Or maybe
Sure.
something that the guys in the live might want to chat a little
Yeah.
bit about. So.
Here, I'll pull this up.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. Navy 47 says hello. Tyler McElroy says go Bells. Pavelski left super fast. Dang. Well, they were able to talk to him a full week beforehand. So he met with Dallas, Tampa Bay, and I think somebody else asked them, and I forget who it was. And he politely said no. I don't want to say it was
Columbus.
Minnesota. It was Columbus.
Columbus.
Yeah, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah.
So I think Tampa Bay wanted him, but that would have been a lot more work for them to work it into the cap system.
Quite a few people saying, no, that's okay to Columbus.
Yeah,
It's too
poor
bad.
Columbus, man.
Yeah. Oh, well. Anyway, so who was you said Tampa Bay would have been a little bit
He
much
met
for
with
the
Tampa
working
Bay,
man.
but they'd have to move some pieces around. I think it was a lot more difficult, and Dallas is a little bit closer to home
Mhm.
for both. It's probably a good in between Wisconsin and San Jose. I'm
Oh, that's
assuming
fair.
he'll probably come back and forth for a little bit.
Yeah.
But he signed a 3-year deal for
3 years, $7 million a year.
Yeah.
So a $21 million contract, and it sounds like the Sharks weren't there in terms of term or money, really. I guess the report was that it was 2 years, $5 million a year, $6 million a year, somewhere in there. So I guess either way you look at it. So if it was 2 by 5, it'd be $10 million. If it was 2-6, it would be $12 million. He's getting 21 with Dallas, so that's what, $9 to $11 million he'd be leaving on the table to stay in San Jose.
Right.
I think for a guy who's 34 years old, soon to be 35, and he's looking at his last big contract, it doesn't. People are trying to trash him on Facebook and everything else, and I just don't get it. He's not chasing money. He's just out there to get what he can for his last big contract, and he wanted 3 years. That was the starting point. So
Right.
if the Sharks are only offering him 2 and 3 as the starting point, well, then he's not listening to what the Sharks have to offer.
To me, it's the same situation that Patrick Marleau
Yeah.
was in 3 years ago or 2 years ago when
Mhm.
they didn't re-sign him and he went to Toronto. And the Sharks didn't want to tie their hands and get stuck with Pavelski for another 3 years. They offered him 1 to 2. Sure, the money was a little bit different, but
Sure.
they didn't have him in his plans. Once they signed Carlson, that kind of set the plan in motion of, okay, we only have this amount of money left over
Yeah.
to sign you, and we don't want to be locked in. Plus, in 2 years, there's the draft
Yeah.
for Seattle. So if he has a 3-year thing, they could expose him, but he probably has a no movement clause, which means they have to use
have
one of
to.
their spots to protect him, and they didn't want to do that. So I bet that was a factor as well of why they only wanted 2 years.
Mhm.
But again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, yeah, he left really fast, kind of like before, back in the day, I don't know how many years ago, 5, 6 years ago, July 1st was the first time you could talk to any agents, or your agents could talk to any GMs to sign anything. Now they open it up a full week beforehand so you can get the talks and get everything kind of lined up, and then July 1st is the first day you can actually sign. So it was probably a handshake deal already done with Dallas. Okay, the paperwork just needs to get signed
Yeah.
and submitted to the office on July 1st, and then that's why it happened on that day. We got a question. Do you think Dalton Prout is going to be in the lineup, or do you think he's part of a trade package that Doug Wilson is working on? He's one of the new guys I got.
Oh, I hadn't thought about
Signed.
that. That's I mean, I don't know that he's part of a trade package that Doug Wilson's working on. That would be very interesting. I don't think that there's any team in particular that's out there going, you know who we need? Dalton Prout, right? I don't think that's a guy that he was going to try to get to package and flip.
Kinda.
Yeah. I feel like he's just a guy that, was an NHLer and he was cheap. And that's, he's got a good upside defensively if he can get back to his game, it sounds like. So we'll see where that goes. But I think right now what Doug Wilson's trying to do is just fill out the roster with one-year contracts for guys that are not very expensive and have the most amount of experience as they possibly can get, right? Because I think this is going to be a year, and I put this up on Twitter too, or maybe Facebook, I don't know. But I was saying basically that I feel like this year is going to be a competitive year, but it's not an all-in year like last season was, right? We picked up Erik Karlsson, we picked up Gus Nyquist. We were all in for that season. I don't think that's going to be the way that goes this season. I think this season is going to be kind of like a get-by year. Still competitive, still playoff worthy, still contending, right? But I just don't think that they're going to go all in necessarily. So
I don't know if get by is the right word. I think what they want to do is, because of the way that their cap space is, and it's not that much. I think it's more of a see what you can do with the younger guys filling in the holes in the lineup.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to go out and get somebody. That's another question is,
yeah.
Janice Demzar, do you guys think Doug Wilson has a plan to sign someone big? No, because there's no space for someone big. Karlsson was the big one. That was, and it happened before July 1st, so we were able to get him for an 8-year deal. So he did get somebody big. He got Karlsson.
And that's kind of what I mean by get by. But also signing those like we're talking about Patrick Marleau potentially joining the team. Dalton Prout, I mean, he's $800,000 I think for a 1-year contract, right? I mean, this is a guy who's played in the NHL before, and he's not exactly a veteran, but
it's depth.
He's got experience. So you're adding that depth, that experience, and it's not costing you a whole heck of a lot. So to me, that makes sense. And especially talking about bringing Patrick Marleau in, if Marleau's willing to take league minimum, then absolutely, I'll take a guy who's got who's a veteran who knows the team. Right. We know what he brings, obviously. So there's a lot going on there, and it just makes sense in terms of the cost of it all because, again, we don't really have the cap space. Now, next season, I think is this is what I mean by it's just getting by for this season. Still being competitive, but not really loading up, right? Not really, what's the word I'm looking for? Committing to, right, any sort of big contracts other than Erik Karlsson, right? Because I think what they're doing is they're setting up for the next season. I think what you're going to see is you've got Aaron Dell's going to come off the books, Melker Karlsson coming off the books. That's $3.9 million right there between just those two players. Paul Martin is coming off the books. That's another 1.4, 1.5, something
next
like that,
year.
right? So yeah, exactly.
4.
Next year. That's what I mean. Again, this is going to be one of those get-by years, I think. Again, still competitive. But in the next season, I think we're going to free up a lot more cap space. We're going to have a couple more guys that are able to step up and play into these positions. Like Aaron Dell's going to be moved out. Well, okay, then we're going to have Bibo jump in or Koshinash, whatever, step in. Dalton Prout's probably a solid defensive player, but he's signed to a 1-year contract, right? So again, I don't think they're committing to many players in this season. I think what they're doing is they're kind of getting through this one and then seeing what they have going into the next, see how much cap space they'll have. I don't think they have many guys that they need to re-sign after this season. I mean, I could be wrong.
Right now. Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay.
Melker Karlsson's gone.
Yeah.
Lucas Radil.
Okay.
Johnny Brodzinski, who we just signed.
Sure.
Then Brendan Dillon, Tim Heed, Dalton Prout.
Okay.
Jacob Milton will be an RFA. Radim Shimmick is a UFA.
Okay.
And Dell.
So the only guys that really stood out to me were Brendan Dillon and Shimmick. Mm-hmm. The rest of them, I'm not saying who cares, but I am saying that there are tons of other players.
They're not our core.
Exactly. There are tons of other players you can... Radil. You can find another Lukáš Radil on the free agent market or in a trade who's a low-cost option who can bring some fourth-line minutes, right? That's not a guy that I'm, hell-bent on bringing back. But a guy like Brendan Dillon, I like his style of play. I think if he does a really good job with Erik Karlsson, you might need some of that money to pay Brendan Dillon. Shimmick, same thing. If he shows that he's a solid defensive partner alongside Brent Burns, I imagine Shimmick is going to get paid in the season after as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But
8 years of Karlsson makes my body tingle.
Yeah.
John Peacock. Another good question, Isaiah Wentz. You guys mentioned that Jones' struggles this year were part of a lack of defensive strength. Mm-hmm. With Bob Bugner returning, how will our defense work? Thoughts on Shimmick?
Yeah.
I think, when Bob Bugner was on the coaching staff for the defense 3 years ago, I think it was the last time. 3 years ago is when Burns won the Norris Trophy.
Yeah.
He really stepped up and improved his defensive play. I think he's going to really shore up the defense and tighten it up a bit. And the Sharks know that's what they need to do next season. And I think they're prepared to do that with Bugner joining the coaching staff again. And now that he's got some head coaching experience, it's only going to make him better.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a defensive whisperer in a way. I think he's going to help Carlson, Burns, Shimmick a lot get to that next level. Shimmick hopefully supposedly is going to be coming back for training camp, so he should be. I mean, it might take him maybe a month instead of. I think originally I said around Christmas is when he's going to be coming back, right after New Year's. But he's very young and was able to rehab his knee a lot quicker than most people.
And think about the pairings that we just named off there. I mean, all the defensemen. Think about the pairings that you're going to have. So you'll have Shimmick with Burns, and we saw that worked out really well. You'll see Dylan. You could see Dylan with Carlson, and that worked out really well. Now you may not see that pairing because obviously Vlasic and Carlson they were testing that one out as well. But if you do stick with Dylan Carlson and that pairing works out really well, okay, great. Then you've got Vlasic and Heed. Now I don't know about you, but that to me that's a solid defensive player with solid offensive player like on every single line. So, I mean, I don't know. Again, I said it last season, and it didn't pan out, but I said it last season, too. If you look at our blue line, it's so good, so dynamic. There's not, like, a pairing that I go, oh, God, they stink. Yeah. You know, even when they do stink, at least when you talk about the types of players that they are and what they can bring.
I think it's more of if and when somebody gets hurt, who can jump in.
Step in.
Yeah, that's going to be the more important part. Yeah. As long as Carlson is healthy, Carlson, Burns, and Vlasic, right? Those three guys are your core. Your three pairings in a way, and then everyone else on top of that is just kind of the other guy on the line, on the pairing.
Yeah.
What happens with Haley? Thought he was actually more of a problem than a help. He's not going to get signed, I don't think, unless they need him at the last minute, kind of depth.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he'll come out on tryout. Maybe he'll go somewhere else because he's a UFA now, so he's not on the roster. And do you think we'll give Suomela another chance? He's an RFA. We did qualify him, correct?
I think they qualified Suomela.
Right, so that means they still retain his rights if somebody tries to sign him. There's some kind of... We get first rights of refusal, basically, and then depending on the salary, we'd get compensation.
Yeah, so,
right?
depending on what they're offering him, they would have to compensate with a draft pick. If it's over $1 million, then it's a second, or I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah. So, basically, depending on the salary offered, they would have to compensate us with a draft pick. So,
Mr. Chango, when is Marleau coming back? I think, people were upset the other day. I think it was on July 3rd. It was on Wednesday, right? I'm on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, my God, people are complaining. Like, the Sharks haven't done anything. Like, what's Doug Wilson doing? Fire Doug Wilson. I'm like,
deja vu.
It's been 3 days. Like, and look at last year.
Yeah.
When we didn't get Tavares on July 1st, everyone wanted to fire Doug Wilson because he failed and he's a terrible GM. And then a week later makes the trade for Carlson, so it wasn't like right away.
Yeah.
Actually, it might have even been later than that. It might have been August.
It was definitely later than that because remember we had episode 13.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that was like a few months.
Right.
Right. So 3 months later. Yeah.
We live in the generation of what have you done for me lately in the last 5 minutes because Twitter is just on top of everything with news. So, and people want to be like, oh, we're the best team because we made the best trade, or we made the best signing, or we had the number one, whatever. I just think people get a little worked up about that. Patrick Marleau, we haven't even signed Thornton yet. He's verbally said he's coming back, but we haven't signed him. So who knows what that cap hit's going to be like.
Here's what's happening. You got to figure out what you're signing. You got to figure out the situation with LeBanc first.
Right.
Once you figure out the situation with LeBanc,
domino.
That's it.
Yeah.
Once you figure out the situation with LeBanc, you're going to see Jumbo coming right behind that, and probably Marleau right behind that.
I think Marleau doesn't need the money because he's still getting that $6 million in his third and final year. So he can sign for the league minimum, which I think for his veteran status is about $1 million.
$750, I think.
Not for if you're a veteran. I thought
is there a difference?
It's higher.
Okay.
It depends on your age and how many games you played. I think it's like $1 million. Like it's not much higher, but cap wise, they're pretty close. So anyway, my point being, I'm pretty sure I would say almost like 80 to 90% sure Marleau's going to be coming back.
I think so.
If you could sign Patrick Marleau for $1 million, any team would do that.
Sure.
Every team would do that.
Yeah.
And he's going to play on the third third line minutes, maybe second power play time.
Yeah, and again, look, we're not looking for the best player that we could possibly. We're looking for players that fit within our current cap situation. And a guy like Patrick Marleau is going to fit in pretty well. If you're only paying $1 million for a guy who's going to be playing even on your third line, right? I mean, you need to fill the roster out. So you do it with guys that you're comfortable with. You're very comfortable with Patrick Marleau, trust me.
Yeah.
And you need to do that with guys that are low-cost options, and he's just one of them. So, I mean, I don't think there's... A lot of people are making a big deal about the whole nostalgia pick, right? Oh, why do you want to bring Patrick Marleau back? It's maybe they don't necessarily want to bring him back, but if he wants to come back to San Jose and he's willing to do it for super cheap, well, then it makes sense to fill your roster out because you're in a cap crunch right now. And especially depending on how much LeBank's going to want. We don't have much to offer anybody else after LeBanc. So if Thornton and Marleau want to come in super cheap, if it's like $2 million combined or so between the two of them, if they're willing to do that, are you kidding me? Yeah, I'll take those two. So that's the way I see it. So I don't know. I feel like you're going to look at what happens with LeBanc first. That once the LeBanc domino falls, then you'll see Thornton and probably Marleau get signed on as well. Because Dalton Proud is the what do you call it? The depth that we were looking for defensively. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how many forwards we have signed, but after LeBanc,
1, 2,
I think
3,
there's
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But LeBanc and Gambrell.
Yeah.
2 RFAs.
Okay, so yeah, LeBanc. Actually, not Gambrell. You probably see Gambrell get signed first too.
I mean, I'm thinking they're gonna wait till training camp to see if Shemlevsky can jump in there.
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Chikovic.
Mm-hmm.
And Blickfield maybe. Since he tore it up, he's probably a little too...
He tore it up in the W, but that's a little different. I want to see him play in the AHL first.
Maybe we see as that third-line center / winger is Gambrell playing with Thornton and Marleau.
Could be.
I would see that.
LeBanc jumps up then?
LeBanc's on the second line.
Yeah.
So I think we'd see Couture, Kane, Timo, maybe, on the top line. And then Hertl with LeBanc and who?
Yeah. No, we start thinning out. That's what I'm saying. I think in this season what we're going to see is we're going to have a team that is playoff worthy, but it's not an all-in year.
It's not going to be a domination like Tampa Bay, like the roster we had last season.
Yeah.
The depth, the forward depth.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we're going to see is a lot of the rookie people getting chances to make the team, to make the roster.
Yeah.
People just said I don't want Dzingel. Dzingel and Ferland are the best UFA available. I just don't think we can afford them.
Yeah, money.
It's again, LeBanc is the last domino, the big domino.
I think there were reports Dzingel was looking for like $6-7 million, wasn't he?
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it because he's a 20-30 goal scorer. So,
Bobrovsky.
He's already signed in Florida.
Yeah, he's.
Another thing I saw. Here's a good one from Casa de Pescado.
Okay.
Why ain't Pavelski take out newspaper space and talk to people of San Jose like all Sharks players have done in the past? Slap my head. Maybe he will. Maybe he just hasn't had time to do it yet. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to. How many people read the newspaper?
I'm not expecting him to take out a full page ad like Patrick Marleau did.
I would expect like an Instagram post or a Twitter.
That's what
tweet,
I would expect. Right? I was expecting just a tweet, anything that said, "Hey, Sharks fans, you supported me throughout those years. We've had lots of great memories. Looking forward to my step moving forward, but I'll always miss you." Blah 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 blah. Something to that effect. And it was kind of shocking that I didn't see anything, and I see a lot of people stepping up and saying, he doesn't owe you anything. It's like, yeah, he doesn't owe anybody anything, but when a player leaves a team that they've been with for the entirety of their tenure there,
also the former captain too.
And also the former captain. I mean, and he's beloved in San Jose as well. Like you would think that after all of that, there'd be some sort of addressing the fan base. But there was just nothing. And it does kind of feel weird, though.
It doesn't bother me. I don't really care.
No, it doesn't bother me. It's not like I'm staying up at night thinking about why isn't Pavelski.
But there's a lot of hate about Pavelski not doing that, and it's like it's only been 4 days.
That's true. Yeah.
It hasn't been that long yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just whatever. Doesn't matter. Sorry, hold on. Mm-hmm. I'm catching up here, and I'm trying to find some good ones. I'm sorry, but Thomas Vanek as a third-line right winger would be hilarious. I'd do it. If you can get him for cheap, I wouldn't be opposed to Vanek, but Hey,
We back.
okay. Going back to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think what Paul is saying is that the Sharks aren't going to be dominant. They're not going to win the division. But as we saw, St. Louis got hot at the right moment, which someone had just talked about. That's all you need to do to win a cup is get hot at the right moment. They were in last place in the entire league in January and surged and made the playoffs barely. They were a wild card team and won the cup. So it does not matter where you place. You just need to make it to the dance. So, and we've seen the Kings do this not that long ago. Same thing. They were an 8th seed and they went all the way and won it. So it does not matter where you place. It does not matter home ice. Just like when people were upset that that Calgary won the division and the Sharks weren't pressing at the very end to try and go for that division win when it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
Look at Tampa Bay. They destroyed the
Calgary.
entire league all season. Calgary.
Yeah.
Well, Tampa Bay, though, was just...
Yeah, sure.
And then they got swept. That's just... At least Calgary won one game, right? So the top two seeds last year's playoffs combined with one playoff win.
Yeah.
So it does not matter.
Yeah.
So it's more of the Sharks are probably just going to try and do what they can with the cap space.
Yeah.
And this is one of the questions earlier was about the cap space, what it's going to look like next year. You kind of touched on it, but also in 2 years there's going to be a new TV deal that's going to be bringing in a lot more money to the teams, which means the cap space is going to go up significantly. Now, if you look at these contracts, like for Karlsson, right, 11 and a half million for 8 years. In 3 years from now, when the cap goes up another 10 million or something, now you're going to have a lot more space to do a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
And that $11 million doesn't look as bad, and it's not as big of a percentage of which we talked about before. When Crosby signed his monster deal, it was the most you could possibly get paid, and now it's $8 million a year, and we're seeing forwards getting more money than that now.
Yeah.
So, and they're still not even as good as Crosby, and they're making more money than Crosby, which is mind-boggling. But anyway, that's kind of my point. Is the cap is going to be significantly different in just a few more years, and it might even change once Seattle's in the mix and everyone, when they do the whole draft and everything else. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. No. Again, I just think that this season, I'm not going to say like we're not going to be horrible. I'm just saying that we're going to be good enough to make playoffs. Okay, that's what this team is going to be. Good enough. They're not. Somebody had a comment earlier saying something about all caps true contender, right?
Yeah.
The Sharks are not a true contender this season, and that's okay. We don't have to be considered a true contender and go all in every single season. We are kind of spoiled because we attempt to do that every season, it seems like. But for this season, I think we've got our cap crunch, right? And we've loaded up with longer-term contracts so that we can be competitive in years to come, not necessarily this coming year. So I think, again, this coming year, you're looking at guys that have one-year contracts, that low money. Dalton Prout, if Thornton resigns, Marleau resigns, again, those are going to be one-year contracts, low money. So those guys are going to fall off the books. There's going to be, again, Melker Karlsson. Those guys are going to fall off the books. It's a lot of money that's going to get freed up, and we're going to pay a couple guys a little bit of a bump, and then you're going to have more space when the cap goes up as well, and Paul Martin comes off of the books. There's going to be a lot more space for us to do something else with it, and we'll have these other guys signed for longer term, and as Aaron just said, that $11.5 million for Erik Karlsson isn't going to look so bad when the cap does increase. How about a guy like Tomas Hertl? What's he making? 5.8, 5.7, something like that?
He is 5.625.
5.625 for Tomas Hertl. That is a steal. He should punch his agent in the face. Okay, so even a guy like Evander Kane, people are hating on the Kane contract, 7 years, $7 million. To me, it's genius because in 7 years, that $7 million isn't going to look like a whole heck of a lot, but you've locked him up for that long term. So I think that in the short term, yeah, it seems like a lot of money. Same thing with Erik Karlsson. It seems like a lot of money, but as the cap increases and that those years kind of go by, it's going to not look quite so bad, and we're going to have the cap space to sign more and more guys. And you've already got these high-end talents that are already signed your team. Brent Burns has still got 5-6 years or whatever it is left on his.
Just get used to these names. Couture, Kane, Timo now.
Yeah.
Hertl, and Karlsson, Burns, and Vlasic.
Yeah.
And even Jones. Martin Jones is signed for another 4 or 5 years.
That's a huge core of players that are going to be on this team for a very long time, and I think what they're doing is they're setting up for the very long amount of time, not for the right now. So, yeah, just we'll be good enough this season. We'll be doing a playoff shows, I'm sure. We may not go for as long as we did this past season, but is what it is.
Thank you, Kraken9, $9.99, $10.
Thank
Love
you.
you guys in the show. Keep up all the awesome work. Military keeps me far from San Jose, but I'm a Sharks fan for life. Go Sharks. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
for
buddy.
watching, and thanks for your service.
Thank you for your service,
It's awesome.
especially right around this 4th of July. That's
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
People are talking about the jerseys. Are they going to bring back the stealth jersey this year?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't see why not, because it's. I can't imagine them doing it for just one season.
Yeah, I mean,
We have this beautiful Carlson
There you go.
bobblehead. Head doesn't really move. His flow is too heavy in the back. It doesn't move. We'll probably get a 30th anniversary jersey, but I think it's after this season is the 30th. I think it's the 29th season. I can't do the math, and I don't really want to. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's the next season. No, season after. I forget. I don't know. I'll have to look. We'll have to figure it out. But yeah, a 30th anniversary jersey would be pretty sweet. Do you think they would do a throwback style jersey for that one?
I like that when they brought back the like this style.
Yeah.
You remember that? It was
Yeah.
a little bit darker teal than this.
Yeah.
I thought that looked so sharp and it looks so awesome.
Mhm.
I want one of those jerseys.
Nice.
Maybe I'll get Ulf Dahlen's son on it. So this is Ulf Dahlen jersey.
Nice.
You're not gonna be able to see it, but
The little arm patch there. Did they do they did a jersey design concept or something like that as like the main logo? I think, right?
I don't think so. I
I
don't
thought-
think I've ever used it. For
No,
a
no, no. I
main
think.
logo.
Well, I'm sorry. As it was like a fan one. I think somebody did like.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
like a fan one. They did that logo up there. Oh, he's pointing up to you. Right
To
there.
me, it's like Columbus has that round, that alternate jersey of
Yeah,
Columbus Blue
yeah.
Jackets. It's got the round circle, kind of looks like
Mhm.
I don't know, not quite soccer, but it looks like something else.
Okay.
Right.
A crest.
I think
Some
yeah,
sort of
like
something?
more like a crest.
Okay.
I think that would be cool, like to use that and then
Yeah.
maybe put San Jose in it or something. Add a little bit to it.
Yeah.
To make it look more like kind of a soccer patch. Like I'm a soccer player, so I
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff.
I
I
know
think it
you
looks
do.
cool. Whatever.
Anyway, you got any other comments?
They use that logo for warm-up jerseys. Somebody said
Oh, they do.
the main one. That's right. It was
For
it was a warm-up jersey. They used that as the main logo before. That was I
Oh,
think
that's
either this season or
right.
last season.
That's what it was. Thank
Yeah.
you for reminding me. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's what it was. I was like, oh, Aaron's gonna love this.
yeah. Wow, Nick Salazar, thanks, buddy. $50.
Whoa.
Appreciate you guys. Looking forward to season 2. As are we.
Yeah, that's what we. Thank you so much, Nick. We appreciate it, buddy. Jeez, 50 bucks.
Another guy from kindergarten.
That should.
way
Yeah,
back in the
yeah.
day.
That's another.
Nathaniel Arias, $1.99. What do you think of the Sharks and Avs in draft? I think how they did in the draft, I think is what you're asking. I think, considering what the Sharks had, they dealt Braun right beforehand and got 2 more picks out of it.
Mhm.
They traded one of those picks down to get kind of another pick, one super late in the draft, which I'm totally okay with because the Sharks do so well
Yeah.
finding gems late in the draft. I think some of the guys that they picked up are decent, and this draft was a little bit more deeper
Yeah.
than normal. The Sharks, the guy that got in the second round, the Sharks had what they said afterwards was they had him pegged to go in the first round, and he didn't, and so they were very excited to get him. And then a lot of people were kind of like, nobody had him going in the first round. Obviously, nobody picked him,
Yeah.
but nobody had him on their draft boards as a guy that would go in the first round. So they saw first round talent and thought, hey, we got lucky and got him in the second round. So
I mean, that's what I'd be saying too if I was picking a guy in the second, right? Oh, we think he's first round talent. Well, of course, but no. I mean, okay. To their credit, they find guys in 6th and 7th rounds that end up being solid AHL players, and that might be competing for an NHL roster spot even as close to this season. And if they find a guy in the second round that they're excited about, then he must be one heck of a talent. Is that they're finding guys at those later rounds that are that good, then they have a good eye for whatever it is that they're looking for. They've got an eye for it. So if they're able to find that in a guy from the second round, and they truly believe that he should have been a first round pick, then this guy is probably a pretty good player. So.
yeah. Thank you, Aaron. You're welcome for $2. No comment. Glasshouse Grown GHG, 2.99. Thank you.
Oh, is that the person's name?
Yeah, but there's
Okay.
no comments.
Okay.
Love the show. That's where it came. Go Sharks, go.
Nice.
Thank
Thank you guys. We appreciate all the support we're getting here.
Mr. Chango says, does Pavelski's decision to leave San Jose affect Thornton's decision to come back? No.
No.
I didn't know this. Or maybe I forgot. But when Marlowe left for Toronto, Toronto offered Thornton a contract, and he said no. He wanted to stay in San Jose. He said several times that he's a Shark and he's not going to go anywhere. And I can't imagine. At this point, he's not chasing money.
No.
He loves San Jose. He's able to still play. He wants to play. He's only going to be a Shark. I don't think he would ever play for another team.
Yeah.
So I think he's just going to sign for the minimum. Again, they're probably waiting for LeBanc to get signed. That domino falls, and they can get money for Thornton and then Marlowe.
Yeah.
So I don't think the decision of Pavelski leaving mattered to Jumbo.
I think the only way you see Joe playing for another team is if the Sharks can't make the playoffs. If they're so far out of the playoff hunt that there's just no way they're going to get it, then perhaps you'd see Jumbo get traded for an asset coming back so he has an opportunity to win a cup. But even then, I imagine right after that he would just sign back in San Jose the next season if they were going to have him come back again. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't.
But
he'll have a no movement clause on.
Yeah,
anything,
but I mean,
right?
I think he would probably be like, okay, you know what, for just 25, 30 games, whatever it is, sure, trade me to, whatever team, Dallas, right? Trade me. I'll see if I can win a cup there. If I can, great. If I can't, well, I'm coming back to San Jose anyway, right? I could see that happening. But other than that, no, you're not going to see Joe try to play a full season in anything other than teal.
Right. Casa de Pescado, question, do you all think the NHL is milking the San Jose and Vegas rivalry because the first 2 games in the season are versus Vegas? Absolutely. I think it makes for great TV. I think they're probably going to play up the 5-minute major thing with Pavelski and the 4 goals that they gave up in 4 minutes. 4 of the 5 minutes is 4 goals. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. I see nothing wrong with it. The NHL needs to market itself better. I don't think they do a very good job because outside of the fan bases, nobody's really watching hockey. That's part of the problem. Otherwise, the ratings would be a lot better. So anything they can do to make that go up is good for the league, good for everybody overall. So, yes, absolutely, they're milking that, and they're doing a back-to-back home and away to start the season.
Yeah. No, I think same thing, absolutely. They're gonna try to milk that for everything it's worth. I mean, anytime you can do – I mean, there's only so many things you can do to try to pull more money in, and if you're going to be doing that by – if just your – the scheduling is going to help bring money in, then yeah, absolutely fix the scheduling so that it does that for you. So, no, I think it's great too because you've got the animosity coming right out of the gate, and it gets teams that are fresh and maybe a little sloppy, just going at each other. It's going to be those first 2 games are going to be just insane. Just a lot of animosity and just again people wanting to prove themselves. The younger guys that are getting their first shot, and everybody's kind of
also the first week of the season. Everyone is so amped up and ready to go, right? And you see a lot of high scoring games because of that, and then the grind starts to hit after about a month, and then it just starts to get sluggish a little bit, and then it starts to pick up again when you get towards the end. So the first week is going to be amazing. If the LA Kings were better, I think that's what they would have pitted the Sharks against the Kings, but because Vegas is better than the Kings right now. I also think Vegas is not doing a very good job signing their players and dealing with the cap situation. They've traded away a bunch of people because they're in cap trouble already. I just read a rumor that they want to get Pacioretty out of there already because that contract is so bad.
Wow.
And he just signed it. Vegas is over the cap right now. They are at $84 million, and what's the cap? 83.5?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's 83.5.
And they've already traded away some people. So, Mark Stone, $9.5 million. Pacioretty, $7 million. Stastny, $6.5 million. And Stastny gets hurt all the time. William Karlsson, almost $6 million forever. It's mind-boggling how much money they threw at these people. They basically were chasing their very first season, and they did so well. And they probably told him, work your tails off and you're going to get rewarded for it. Sure. And now it's like, oh my Lord. This team to me is, obviously they're already in cap trouble. Yeah. They're over the cap.
Yeah.
And they have to get under. And they only have 5 defensemen signed right now.
You know who they could use? Dalton Prout.
Yeah. They did a phenomenal job putting it together. And then holding it together, they just fell apart.
Yeah.
Just a nightmare. Just the trades they made.
And I can imagine all of the Sharks fans kind of poking fun at them.
I mean, think about the Kings,
right? I forgot what it takes to, right?
The Kings, after they won the Cup in 12, I think was the last one they won. they signed all these guys to contracts that everyone said, those are terrible contracts, and look where they are now.
Yeah.
They got stuck.
Yeah.
So that's exactly the direction that Vegas is heading towards.
Well, it's funny going back to that opening night thing where it's the
Oh,
Vegas.
it's 81 million, not 83. So they're over by $3 million.
Oh, it's 81.5.
Right,
81?
81.5.
Yeah, 81.5. Oh, jeez.
And they're at 80. What did I say?
And you've
84.
only got 5 defensemen signed?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. They're just.
Yeah, best of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could be in a much worse position, guys. But yeah, I remember LA. We were talking about the opening night with Vegas, or the first couple games with Vegas and San Jose, right?
Right.
And I do remember when I think it was the Kings had won either first or second cup. I don't remember which one it was, but they had the Sharks in their building, like the first night. Their home opener was against the Sharks, and it was like, do you feel like they're kind of like rubbing it in, like so? And it was cool because I remember the whole thing was like, let's try to like rain on their parade,
Right.
And they beat them up so bad in that game too. It was just one of those
forgot.
things. They had like the whole like raising the banner ceremony and all that stuff, and it was just like the Sharks were just sitting there just stewing throughout ceremony, and they just came out and stomped them.
Another great contract, Ryan Reeves. $2.7 million for a guy who gets 8 minutes of ice time a night.
Yeah, so people don't like the Melker Karlsson deal.
That's garbage. That is awful.
Yeah.
That's a great babysitter salary. it's amazing.
But I mean, see, now people look at the Melker Karlsson deal and they go, "Gosh, $2 million for a guy who only plays on the fourth line." No, he plays on the fourth line and he does a penalty killing quite well, actually, right? So, would you rather have Melker Karlsson at $2 million, or would you rather have Ryan Reeves at 2.7?
Part of the problem is they have David Clarkson on, and he hasn't gone on long-term IR. They're going to put him on long-term IR. Someone who's at Haley Rivera just said
Wow.
that. Said David Clarkson will go long-term IR, so Vegas isn't as bad as the spot as it seems, but still, they only have 5 defensemen. That frees up $5 million, so now they have about $1 million to sign an NHL caliber 6 defenseman.
Dalton Prout.
Too late. Too late.
We snagged him up. That was the plan the whole time.
Casa de Biscotto again. Guys, can you help explain what arbitration is and how it works? Because he saw Vegas Subban filed for arbitration. When you are a restricted free agent, that means you're not you as the player. You can only sign with the Sharks. Someone can give you an offer. It's called an offer sheet, right? So another team can give you an offer, but the current team, so let's say it's a Sharks player, the Sharks can match it, or they could say, sure, you can go away. Now, then it becomes, okay, well, what kind of rights do the player have? Because they're kind of tied to that team and they're kind of almost screwed in a way because they have no leverage, right? So the only way they can get leverage is they can go to arbitration. Arbitration is a third party coming in and saying, here's what we think what other players around the league get based on your caliber of play, kind of your stats. They look at everything. And it gets really ugly because then the Sharks don't, or the team doesn't want to pay them.
Right.
So they come in and talk. Imagine going in for a review, right, for your job.
Yeah.
And your boss comes in and just says, "Oh, this guy was awful this year. He was late. Like he was sleeping in meetings. Like just throwing you under the bus essentially." So that the judge is going to say, "Okay, I can see their point," and then you are going to say, "Here's all my stats. Here's how I compare with all these other players that already signed for these contracts." But it just like it hurts. Like you go to that and you hear all the garbage against you, and so you're kind of like, "Oh, do you really want me there?"
Yeah.
But all the team is trying to do is keep that money down because of the cap space. But they're going to throw all the garbage at you. So that's arbitration, is when you go to a third party. They decide how much your contract is going to be, and it's usually 1 or 2 years if you go to arbitration. It's not going to be a long-term contract.
I can't remember the exact rule on it, but I think if the player, I forget who, one of them initiating or something to that effect, they're basically the other party gets to select if it's 1 or 2 years. So I think if the team is coming to them and telling them or wants to go to arbitration, then the player gets to choose if it's 1 or 2 years, based on whatever something to that effect. So
okay.
I'm not entirely certain, but yeah, it would basically be either a 1 or a 2 year deal. And there's a third party, like Aaron said, that determines what you're worth essentially. And the team is always trying to get the best deal that they can, so they try to keep the price low. And the player is always thinking that he's the next Sidney Crosby, so he's trying to get the highest amount he can get. And then they end up falling somewhere in between. if they actually do go to arbitration. Now, there are a lot of times where you'll hear that they're going to be in their arbitration hearings, and they kind of go through all of that discussion, and they don't actually go through with the arbitration itself, and they finally come to terms on some sort of deal. So sometimes you'll get that where it sounds like it's going to go to arbitration. They're really close. They're right there. They've already gone through some of the proceedings or whatever, and it just never goes all the way through, and they kind of figure it out. So, hopefully it does. That's not what's going to happen with like Labanc. I'd love to see him just kind of get done the right way. Now, I think there was a question earlier about term and about money for Labanc, and I'm honestly not really sure on term. I always lowball because I'm used to it, right? NHL 19. I always lowball on what I think the player is actually worth, but I'm interested in hearing what you think Labanc is worth, what he's going to get on a yearly basis, and for how long. And I'm interested in what you guys have to say too.
I think someone said 3 years, $3 million. I think Labanc is going to want to kind of bet on himself in a way. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to sign a long-term contract. It's not going to be like 5 years. I think it would be 3 or less. Mm-hmm. And then I forget how that works with being an RFA, because he's only 23. So I don't know how many years he could sign and still be an RFA after that. I think you're until you're 26.
I think it was 26 years old.
27. Yeah. So if he signs a 3-year deal, he'd still be an RFA because he'd be 26.
I think.
Right? I don't know. It's kind of murky, but I would think, he had 50 points. He was top power play guy. He's a very important player to the Sharks. Not quite consistent yet. Not that all-star caliber player yet. Chance he could be, but I think a big step for him would be to get to that 60-point plateau, which is what he's going to want to bet on.
Yeah.
So he'd probably take a 2-year deal at maybe $2.5 to $3 million.
Ooh,
right?
Okay.
I'd say $3 million for 2 years. Basically betting on himself that he's going to surpass that, and then after 2 years, he's going to have to get paid.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of a bridge deal. He's looking for a bridge deal.
See, and it's funny because what you said was kind of what I was thinking coming from the Labanc camp, right? And I can imagine coming from the Sharks camp, they would be willing to give him $3 million, but for those 5 years, right?
Exactly.
They would want to get him longer term. Kind of
they
what they're doing with Hurdle.
Some of their free agent years.
Right? Kind of like what they're doing with Hurdle, right? The 5.625. He's easily worth more. He's more worth Kane money.
Hurdle has more of the pedigree to do it than Labanc did.
Sure.
I think, especially because Hurdle was a higher draft pick. He was a first round draft pick, I believe. Whereas Labanc was a 6th round, I believe.
Right.
So I don't think Labanc has as much leverage as Hurdle did.
Right.
In terms of getting more money.
What I'm saying, though,
I understand what you're saying.
Is that Wilson is paying Hurdle, in my opinion, a lot less than he should be getting paid, but he's got him for the term, so that helps him out with the cap.
He also signed
years to come.
It was a gamble because he was hurt so many times.
Yeah,
Hurdle was.
That's true.
So we didn't know if he was going to be reaching his potential.
That is true.
And he's still. Last year was probably his first full year where he went into the season fully healthy and dominated and played consistently. Because that was part of his problem too, was he wasn't being consistent.
Although the season before, I think even like episode 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there for season number 1 for us, we had talked about Hurdle really kind of breaking out in the previous season. So that would be now 2 seasons ago. He's kind of shown that he's the real deal now. Mm-hmm. And I think that started a couple years ago. I remember seeing him kind of blocking everybody with his body while he was shielding the puck, and that was something that I hadn't really seen out of Hurdle before. We'd all seen the goal scoring and everything, and that was all well and good, but that Joe Thornton-esque ability to control the puck when somebody's on top of you, that was one of the things that I hadn't really seen out of Hurdle up until not last season, but the season before that. And coming into this, previous season, we were just expecting more of the same. So I definitely think, regardless, Hurdle's worth, closer to the Evander Kane money, and I think Labanc is probably going to be worth closer to Hurdle money, but in a few years. I think in a few years he'll be worth that.
Yeah.
So if the team could lock him up for 5 years at $3 million, I'd be all for it. But if he's smart, he'll take 2 years at $3 million, right?
Right now with Hurdle, he's getting top 6 minutes, and Labanc is not.
Yeah.
It might change this season because it's just the numbers, the people, but so that's part of it too. That's going to play a major factor, I guess. I don't know. One question. With St. Louis being a big team and teams trending and getting big guys, are the Sharks too small? No, I don't think so. I don't think they're too small. They play different. They play a different style. They play a possession style, so they're going to get hit more because of that.
Yeah.
You have Carlson and Burns on the blue line who
Yeah.
can dish the puck and move it up quickly and possess the puck and skate it out of their own zone and bring it in. So that's why we saw St. Louis, Vegas hitting the heck out of the Sharks during the playoffs, because the Sharks mostly had the puck.
Yeah.
So when you have most of the possession, you're going to get hit more. The Sharks used to play that style where they were big bodies and hit people, but as we saw against Pittsburgh 3 years ago in the finals now, smaller and faster and more skilled is kind of the trending way to go. So, I mean, Boston wasn't exactly the biggest team. St. Louis is bigger than Boston, and it still went to Game 7.
Yeah.
Right? So it could have gone either way. Yeah. I just don't think it wasn't like St. Louis dominated. They played 3 7-game series and 1 6-game series.
You know, and it's funny to me almost. Like, I remember a really...
2 6-game series and 2 7-game series.
Yeah. It's funny to me because it's almost like... do you remember that really, really old, like, Nintendo, like, 8-bit hockey game? I think it was like Team USA, Team Canada, and then Germany and Russia, and it was like you could pick the fat guy, the medium guy, or the really skinny guy, right? Yeah. And the fat guy always ran over the little guy, but the little guy was really agile and could move really fast, right? So you always hear people saying they got to get younger, they got to get faster, but then they also want them to be bigger and tougher. And it's like, you can't. If you're fat,
it's hard. It's not easy to do.
If you're big and tough, you're probably not super fast, and if you are, you're a gem in this league, right?
Right. That's a top 10 pick every year if you're big, faster, and stronger than everyone else.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Skill at this point, at this level, is practically
almost a wash.
the same. Yeah, it's a wash. It just comes down to size and speed. Yeah, that's it.
So, I mean, if you want to be heavier, okay, great. If you want to be faster, okay, great. But being able to have the best of everything, I mean, that's kind of it's a unicorn almost. You know, I mean, there's a few guys in the league maybe that fit that bill, but I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot of them, and I think you can find a lot more guys that are, you know, smaller and faster than that player you're thinking of, or maybe there's certain guys that are maybe a little bit slower, but they're bigger than the guy that you're thinking of. It's finding that like middle ground guy maybe that you're looking for. I don't know, but there's always going to be somebody faster than your big guy, and there's always going to be someone bigger than your fast guy. So it's kind of finding that middle ground. Now, is one recipe going to be the recipe that wins every single time? No, absolutely not. Like he just said, Pittsburgh was a smaller team. They were just really fast. They beat us with speed, right? That's how they won their cups. They won it with speed. Blues won their cup with being when they won. Right? So I don't think there's any one particular way. I think if you load your roster up with a certain type of player that you're going to win. I don't think that's realistic. I think there's just way too many factors. I mean, coaching and everything included, right? Are we just forgetting about coaching and we're just throwing these players on the ice because they're a certain type of player and expecting them to win? Yeah. I don't buy that. I don't think that there's any one particular formula that wins. And I think when you one team's strengths against another team, they may beat that team every single time, but that doesn't mean that team is the best of the best. You can find another team that maybe even loses to the other one, right? Rock, paper, scissors. And it's just the way that those teams will battle each other that one has a handover on the other one. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, building your roster a certain way is going to be the one way that you win a cup. So I don't know if I really buy into that stuff.
Our audio's cutting out a little bit. You got that, Jay?
I'm watching. I see it.
Okay. Real quick, we're going to promote this. We are giving away the Jumbo Puck, which is somewhere around here. We'll find it.
Hold on.
It's we have a Jumbo. Is it 1,000 assists or 1,000 points?
Too close in the dark.
Too close in the dark. There it
Come
is.
back.
Oh, fine. Sit down. You sit down.
There you go. We're going to be giving this away, and we'll put the promotion on the screen. You can enter to win there. And we will pick a winner. What do you want to say, next week?
No.
13 days away.
Yeah, 13 days.
13 days away. Sorry, we have a date.
Yeah. So that bit.ly.jumbo or bit.ly/jumbo-puck.
Jumbo Puck.
It's a mouthful.
Wow. bit.ly /jumbo-puck.
That's the one. Okay, so go there, and I guess there's some instructions for them to enter and everything. So you'll have the ability to win said puck.
Question from James Demsar. What are your opinions on the new league rule changes? Do you remember what they were? We went over this a while ago, but
The no hand pass thing, or being able to review hand passes and think if the
you
goal
can
goes in,
review
it
a
can
lot
review-
more
yeah.
stuff. But now unsuccessful challenges result in a penalty,
Okay.
whereas before only certain ones did. I think only the offsides resulted in a minor. But referees review a major match penalty calls and double minor high sticking penalties. They can now review that with video,
Yeah.
which I think is good, especially for high sticking, because how many times do we see the Sharks bleed and they
Yeah.
didn't call it? Either they didn't call anything or they only called a 2 minute. And it's like, come
Yeah.
on.
I mean, honestly, my whole feeling on a lot of these rules, like some of it is going to be unnecessary, sure. I think some of it is kind of a knee-jerk reaction to try to right some wrongs, and I get why they're doing it. Here's the one thing I will say, whether you agree or disagree with it, hey, everybody's got to play by the same rules now, right? So it's not like it's going against the Sharks because of the hand pass, or it's going against... because of the Pavelski getting knocked over, and then they would then review that, and then it would have been different, and Vegas would have went on and won the cup. Shut up. So I think I wouldn't look at it that way. I would just look at it as, if that's going to be the new way that they are kind of policing these things, that's all well and good. It goes both ways. So if it happens against us, we'll see it, or they're going to see it now. If it happens to us, well, they're going to get the call right. So, I mean, it is what it is. So I don't really have a problem with it. I think, again, it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Is it necessary? Maybe, maybe not. But again, at least, it's kind of like the same thing when the ice is sloppy. The guys are out there saying the puck's bouncing everywhere. Yeah, both teams have to deal with it. Okay, so same thing with the rule changes.
We talked about this a while ago.
Yeah.
The whole reason they did the whole reviewing offsides was because of the blatant offside miss against Colorado and breakaway. This was like 5-6 years ago. So they introduced the replay system to do, and it came back to bite them, right? So, there goes the puck.
Oh, no.
I think this is another knee-jerk reaction, but it's almost like, I know you're not watching the World Cup, but the Women's World Cup final is on Sunday, USA versus, you gonna watch it?
I have not watched it, but cool.
VAR is the name of their replay system for FIFA, for all of FIFA, all of soccer, but it's awful. It's awful. They got it wrong. In order to get it right, 100% right, it makes the game worse. That's my opinion, and I share that with a lot of other people.
Okay.
But anyway, I think I'm hoping that hockey can get it right. I think hockey does do it better than most other sports. They don't take as long, and it's not true in every single case. But if you compare it to football, like the average time it takes to review and do all that stuff, I think everyone else is a lot slower.
Yeah, and I'd like to see that change too for any of these replays. If it takes you more than a minute to decipher if that 1 millimeter is a piece of ice or if it's something else, if he's offside or outside, if it's that close that you take more than a minute to figure it out, then it's too close to really matter, and it would not have changed the play. Whether it's 1 millimeter or not is really not going to change if that puck was going to go in the net. To me, it doesn't really matter. So I think I would have implemented a 1 minute time limit on checking those things
Some
out.
of the other minor tweaks that they've added, I like most of them. The one thing I don't really enjoy is the helmet rule. You lose a helmet, you got to go to the bench and get a new one. Kind of like if you lose your stick, if you break your stick, you can't pick it up. You don't have to go to the bench to get one right away, right? I don't see this. I understand why they're doing it. It's a safety issue. I think it's a CYA kind of thing where they need to make sure that they don't get sued or somebody gets hurt with no helmet on. I mean, nothing has happened yet, but they lose their helmet and they take a puck to the head or a stick. Yeah. Or they get hit into the boards and their head goes into the boards without a helmet on, or they fall on the ice and their head. Most likely, most injuries come from that, where they fall on the ice and their head hits the ice. So I understand it. I totally understand it. And I don't understand why people would be upset about the NHL doing nothing about head injuries and getting upset about this rule. This is a result of that. People being upset about head injuries. To me,
I think it's so my whole stance on it, I think it's entirely unnecessary. I just don't for head injuries. I think what most people are looking at is not so much bouncing your head off the ice, because again, I look at this as think of it as like track and field. A guy who's a runner, right? Do they wear helmets? No. I mean, could they trip and fall and bang their head? Yeah. But does it happen all that often? Not really. When you're having a head injury, it's usually because somebody's hit you.
Yeah, God forbid you fall on a track that's soft.
You could fall on a javelin.
It's not a...
You could.
What?
I don't know.
That's on the field.
I'm just making things up.
Do you know what track and
Doesn't
field
matter. Look, all I'm saying is I think that when you have a guy we were talking about Eric Carlson and skating in the All-Star game. Skating the All-Star game was not something that was very difficult for him. He was out there basically walking around except that on skates. This is not something that is very difficult for him, right? It's like walking for these guys. I don't walk around with a helmet on my head because I know how to walk. These guys don't necessarily need to have helmets on their head when they're skating around because they know how to skate. It's when you're taking the hits, right? It's when you're getting in the boards and your head's getting crushed or you get smashed and then you fall on the ice and then your head bounces off the ice. Okay, fine, I can understand that. But for the small amount of time that you're going to be out there with your helmet off, I mean, shifts last, what, 30 seconds, 45 seconds? If your helmet's come off, it's probably came off in the middle of a play. Your 30 seconds is probably already gone. You're going to be out there for another 15. Are you telling me that you're really worried about the 15 seconds that a guy's going to be out there without his helmet on? I don't know. To me, it just seems unnecessary. Now, here's what I will say. I was a little bit concerned about guys that were going to be going to the boards and then coming over, reaching over, and knocking the other guy's helmet off so that he has to leave. But that's apparently
It's illegal.
something that they're... Right.
Right.
They're calling that now.
Right.
That's you can't take the other person's equipment off
Right.
penalty. I don't know
Yeah.
what do they call that.
Probably just a misconduct or something.
So, yeah,
it just
something- I
falls
don't know.
under the general category
Sure.
of misconduct.
So
2-minute misconduct.
That to me was a concern. Like, okay, if I'm a guy that goes into the boards and somebody comes over and is like, you know how you always get those cross checks
Right.
to the back, and
Yeah.
they never call that stuff, and I wish they would. But you always get the cross checks to the
So-
back. What happens if the stick rolls up and it pops your helmet off? Then you have to get off the ice.
See, what I don't understand is if you lose your helmet, can you not just pick it up off the ice? You have to go to the bench. to
I
get a
don't
new
know.
one?
I don't know.
So is that going to be like you're going to have a big supply of everyone's helmets like you do sticks now on the bench?
Could be.
That's just silly.
Who knows?
All right, some of the other stuff real quick.
Yeah.
Line changes for defensive team. They're not allowed to do a line change when the goalie freezes the puck from outside the center red line. So if they dump it in and it goes to the goalie and he freezes it,
Okay.
like they needed a break or they needed a line change
Yeah.
or something, right? Not going to happen. Very minor, probably isn't going to happen a lot. Or if your team, this happens a lot more. This is more interesting. If your goal comes off, if your
Yeah.
team inadvertently, not purposely, but inadvertently knocks the puck, knocks the net off. Hello, Vegas.
Yeah.
They can't get a line change just like it's an icing call. These calls
Hello,
were made
Vegas.
for Vegas. This is great.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. Face-off falling and icing to begin a power play. Now the offensive team can choose which dot they want,
Nice.
which is nice.
Yeah.
An awarded goal, another one, hello Vegas. If the goalie during the course of a breakaway knocks the goal off the moorings, it's an automatic goal, which is interesting because now it's one of two things that's an automatic goal: on a breakaway and an empty net,
Yeah.
and there's a penalty, or which we saw Joe Thornton score a goal
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
or this. So that's a little bit interesting. I don't think we'd see that very often. Maybe once every couple of years we'd see this.
Yeah.
Same with the empty net
No,
thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, sure. Puck out of bounds. This one's interesting.
Okay.
If the offense in any way gets the puck out of play, the faceoff stays in the zone, in the offensive zone.
Yeah, I thought that one was kind of weird too because that felt like a way to exploit a little bit, right? If let's say Burnsy's got the puck and he's getting pressure, he can just flip it up and over the boards, and then they do another face-off.
That's what I think is going to happen this
Yeah.
year. Is let's say they're on the power play or something, right?
Yeah.
And they need a line change. They need to get the guys off, and or he's at the point and he's stuck. He doesn't have a shot. He could just shoot it out
Yeah.
of play. Already in play was, or they changed the rule a couple years ago, is if it hit the post and went out, it stayed in the offensive zone before it would come out.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it's interesting little tweaks that I think we'll see happen. Actually, that one will actually happen a lot.
Yeah.
I think we could see an exploit and they might tweak it next year.
Yeah.
Again, if it's intentional, probably is what the wording should be intentionally.
Yeah.
Or non-intentionally, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the helmet issues will be the hardest to control. The game is too fast for Mr. Chango. So you have to keep helmets on during a fight from Casa de Pesquero. If they fall off naturally, I think you're fine. But
Yeah.
you can't. What they would do, they initially said during a fight you have to keep your helmet on, right? Or
You cannot
can't take
you
it
cannot
off.
remove your
And so
helmet.
what they would do is they would take each other's helmets off at the same time and then fight because they don't want to bash their hands on the helmet.
Yeah.
So then they said, okay, you can't do that. So now, I don't know. We'll see. Sorry, my throat's getting dry. You get an extra 2 minutes if you take the helmet off during a fight.
See, and like, why? Just let them go. You know, I don't know. If the guys are, they know what they're getting into. I understand. George Peros bounced his head off the ice after he got KO'd, right? I get that, but they know what they're getting into when they're going into a fight. They know that look, a guy's about to hit him in the face. Do you think he really cares if he's got his helmet on when he falls? Like, most of the time they don't even fall. Most of the time it's just a judo flip, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down. But he's like willingly standing in front of somebody else to get punched in the face. Like, I think he's okay without having his helmet on. I think he knows the danger of it, right? So I don't know. For me, that one doesn't make sense either. The whole you can't take the guy's helmet off.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't get it.
All right, here's a good question. We're going to change gears here.
Sure.
What team do you think did the best in the free agent market so far? What team do you think got better compared to last season? Who do you think did...
Hard to say. The Rangers didn't get better, right?
I could see the Rangers went from a rebuilding team to a possible, not quite, possible playoff team. I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they'll be close.
I think you'll probably agree with me on this one, and one of our viewers will probably like hearing this. Colorado. I think Colorado filled out a lot of what they needed.
I'd say Colorado, and I also think Dallas got a lot better.
Yeah, definitely Dallas.
And Dallas was a fringe playoff team. They were also, weren't they? Who's the wild card? Colorado and Dallas?
Nah, I don't remember. It's history now.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Anyway.
But no, Colorado. I think Colorado got a lot better. They filled out a lot of depth that they needed.
I think in the East, I think Florida got better. I think they are. I mean, just getting a goalie that's Bobrovsky. I know I poop on him a lot, but I think he's a better option than the tandem of Luongo, who retired and who has the best Twitter handle.
Absolutely.
Anyone in the NHL or former now in the NHL. I just think, I didn't realize Jason Spezza signed with Toronto. That's an interesting deal. So, yeah, I think Dallas got better in the West. I think Colorado definitely got better. Plus, they added the the fourth overall pick?
Yeah.
Who could possibly make the roster?
Yep.
They traded away some of their depth defensemen. So I think Colorado's going to be a very strong team. I think we already knew that. We saw that they brought the Sharks to the 7th game in the second round. So Colorado's going to be a tough team, and they're going to be around for a long time.
Yeah.
And they just, what we said before, they were a one-line team. No, they added Jonas Donskoy.
Yeah.
And we all know about Donskoy. So
he's going to be... And Kadri, right?
Yeah. They traded for Kadri.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think, they got Colin Wilson, too, who's a decent third line guy. Yeah. I just think, and even Phoenix, Arizona. They got Phil Kessel and his hot dogs are coming to Arizona. Did you see that?
I did.
I forgot what it was. Was it Down Goes Brown?
I don't know.
They said? I think it was that website or that guy or whoever.
Okay.
I'm speaking now gibberish, but they made the joke about hey, they say, hey Phil, you can put your hot dogs on the dashboard and they'll cook them in Arizona. Right. And he goes, oh really? Yeah, I'll go to Arizona. Yeah, Colorado. So people are saying Colorado and Toronto. Definitely Columbus.
Toronto unloaded half their team to Ottawa.
Yeah,
they dumped they dumped a lot, but to Ottawa specifically.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I think Florida is going to be the strongest jump because they new coach.
Okay,
Joel Quenneville.
Yeah, that's true.
Quenneville.
Yeah.
New goalie. Like they had a pretty good core group of young guys.
Yeah.
They just couldn't get to that next level, and I think they're not going to get there, which is fine.
This their breakout season?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're for sure making playoffs.
Okay.
This year, assuming nobody major gets hurt.
Sure.
How about that? There's my out.
Okay.
Nice. New Jersey got PK Subban, Jack Hughes, and Wayne Simmons in 1 week. Yeah, but I still think
we're not high on Wayne Simmons. I'm sorry.
No. No, so many people love Wayne Simmons. And I looked it up. Was it a goal and 2 assists?
He said goal and 2 assists,
16 games after he got traded? Come on, man. And he signed for, I think, $5 million in New Jersey.
For Wayne Simmons, $5 million is not bad, though.
I'd rather have LeBanc.
Oh, yeah, sure, but...
For cheaper. I don't know. Personal opinion, this is from Casa de Pescado. A lot of good comments.
Yeah,
by the way.
thank you.
Colorado will be the next Edmonton. People and pundits expect them to be great and greatly disappoint. I don't know, man. I think that last season was a good confidence builder for a lot of their guys, and I mean, shoot, I think they were expected to make playoffs, and that's it. And they won the first round and almost won the second round. So I think that's a great confidence builder for them. Soccer skills. How do you feel about the Mitch Marner situation? I was just listening to NHL radio on the way over here, and they're talking about it. This is supposedly to be the summer of the offer sheet, right? Such BS, man. Like there's one Sebastian Aho from Montreal,
Yeah.
and they
I think
matched
it's
it.
Aho.
What did I say? Aho. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, Aho. And the Carolina Twitter
matched
even
it.
made a joke about it, like,
Should we or not?
should
right?
we? Yeah, yes or no. It's like you're pretty obviously gonna be, or was it? They said yes, and then it was like yes in another language or something. I think.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna offer Mitch Marner anything.
Yeah.
We talked to Doug Wilson about this, and then you should go look in our interviews with Doug Wilson. It's a good 12, 15-minute interview with him. Essentially, because I kind of want to know the inner workings of a trade. I was like, do you guys is there actually like some kind of trading block? Do you guys have like this email chain going back and forth, or
Bat
a texting
phone.
chain? Yeah, bat phone. And he pretty much, it makes sense. Most of these guys played together.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these guys are former players, and even in most cases, he's got 3 or 4 former teammates of his. So they're all buddy kind of in a way. They're not gonna screw each other over.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do a lot of offer sheets. They're not gonna be like, oh, it's not like that. It's a good old boys network essentially. There's no one playing hardball. Plus, most of these guys are Canadian. They always say sorry, so it's not gonna they're not gonna be mean. So I just didn't think this was gonna be the summer of the offer sheet. We saw one.
Yeah.
One. So I guess in a way it was.
It was
Because there hasn't been one in
way
years.
more than we've seen in quite a while there.
But no, I don't think nothing's gonna happen with Mitch Marner.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't really even been following that closely. I know he's now up to, he wants 12 something million or whatever it is. He wants like
He was the
Connor
leading
McDavid
scorer.
money.
He was the leading scorer.
Great.
Over Tavares, over Austin Matthews,
Yeah.
over Nylander, all those other guys that got paid. He wants to get paid.
Good luck, I guess.
Consistently been the leading scorer.
They don't have the money to be throwing 12 something plus at him, though, right?
Didn't trade him.
You're gonna have to, but
That's why they shouldn't have
That's the
signed
problem.
Marlowe to $6 million.
well, they got rid of that situation though. They don't have to worry about that anymore.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Like they have all these players that are good.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a bad problem to have to pay them, but a good problem that you have these good players. Look where they were 5 years ago.
They must have just not thought that he was going to be as good as he was, because they signed Tavares to that gigantic contract on top of. They knew they had Austin Matthews, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's too many good players there. So I guess they just didn't have him on their radar for some reason, because you knew you had to pay the guy.
Right.
Maybe you just didn't think you were going to have to pay him that much. I don't know.
When LeBanc signs his contract, this is from Mr. Django, will he finally get to pick a new number? Probably. That probably is in the deal.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's almost synonymous for him now, you know? Like,
I don't know. Pavelski was
53.
53 when
Yeah.
he started. A lot of these guys just have a terrible number, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
once they get paid, they.
I don't know. Is 62 such a bad number?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Nobody has 62.
LeBanc does.
That's a rookie number.
Well, nobody had 97.
That's here. Nobody's had this number here.
Still, I don't know. How about Melker, 68?
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's pretty bad too, but he's stuck with it.
Terrible.
He's been an NHLer for a while. Come on, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I was LeBanc, I'd probably keep it.
Do you think, from Mr. Chango again, do you think Marlowe will number 12 again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think he'll go back old school and go
No,
14?
14? No. No. No, if he goes back, he goes 12 for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt.
There's no reason not to. It's not like it was retired.
Yeah.
Not like the Pittsburgh
And
situation.
we didn't give it to anybody else, so.
When Mario Lemieux came out of retirement to play and they had to unretire his number. Because he wanted to play with Crosby.
That's right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Crosby's first.
Player owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Player owner, and he was his roommate. Like, he was living with Mario
That's
and his
creepy.
family. Well, he was 18 years old.
Oh, my
Crosby.
bad. No, okay,
Crosby.
got it. Yeah. Got it.
Crosby was living with the owner
Yeah.
/ captain and playing. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just weird.
Odd situation. Anyway,
Is that it?
I think so. We good to go?
I think so.
All right, cool. All right.
All right. Thanks.
You want?
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We do appreciate all your comments and everything that you had to say for the in the chat there. Hopefully, we get a few more people next time around, and we'll keep doing this once a week. We're back to our once a week schedule. We're not going to be doing after every single game like we were doing in the playoffs. That was a grueling schedule for us as well.
I don't know if we'll be once a week this entire summer.
I don't. What's
Starting
that?
now.
No. We'll be back doing once a week during the season. Now,
Right.
if there's something that happens, a trade or an acquisition or something like that, yeah, we'll probably reconvene and do an episode or something like that.
Right.
And, put something out there. But I think we're not going to go the same route that we did the first season, which was basically generating content just out of thin air, trying to find things to do. We've ran out of stories, first of all, so we have no stories to tell. But yeah, so we'll probably go back to one show if there's a big thing happening, putting some content out. But then once the season starts in, we'll go back to doing our once a weeks, which usually was on Sundays, if I recall.
Sunday
We're recording
nights.
on Sunday nights, so the lives would be on Sunday nights. We'll put them out on YouTube on Monday and on podcast form as well. So
Yep.
again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the comments and everything else.
Please
So,
like and subscribe if you have not already. And if you have any friends that you think would love the show that have not checked it out, please tell them about us.
Yeah.
So that'd be great. Help us grow.
and
even more.
again, the whole premise of the show is to sit down and have a conversation, have some fun with you guys. So we do appreciate the back and forth because it's doing what the show is intended to do, which is have a bunch of friends sit down and have a conversation about the Sharks. So thank you for that. Again, we are going to get off to recording episode number 1 of season 2. Looking forward to that. So I guess with that, we will see you guys
Soon.
soon.
Sometime this summer.
Yep, absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye.